Hi guys. The last video I was speaking about the huge carving of the figure called Destiny. He's like a Herculean type figure, and it ties in with what the Masons believe to be America's secret destiny, or America's assignment with destiny. This guy obviously is a representation of the warrior leader they're hoping is going to appear very soon, and I believe he is. He's going to be Alexander the Great on steroids. So that's what we left off talking about, this Antichrist leader. I was talking about the streets of Washington and how they've got a five-pointed star. There it is, right there. A five-pointed star. Perfectly made five-pointed star on the streets. That is Washington DC street map. And you see the missing part. The red lines don't all come together. And like I said, that some people, especially Freemasons, will say, it's just a coincidence, you know, the lines don't come together. Well, there was this quite famous German master mason called Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. He was considered to be the greatest German literary figure of the modern age. He made use of a pentagram like this in his play Faust, in which his character Faust makes a pact with the devil called Mephistopheles in this poem. The following exchange occurs. Mephistopheles, the devil: let me go up, I cannot go away. A little hindrance bids me stay. The witch's foot upon your sill I see. And Faust answers, the pentagram? That's in your way, you son of hell, explain to me. If that stays you, how came you in today? And how was such a spirit so betrayed? And Mephistopheles, the devil, answers, observe it closely, it is not well made. One angle on the outer side of it is just a little open, as you see. Just like in the Washington street design, it's not complete. So the open or broken pentagram is used to summon and detain evil spirits. The Washington DC open pentagram is obviously intended to summon and detain the very devil himself, and they will. They will. He'll be cast out of heaven, he'll come down to earth, and he'll be stuck here for a time. If you look also at the writings of two of the most famous or infamous Masons of all time, Albert Pike, the Confederate, who has a huge statue built in his honor near to the White House. So, Albert Pike, 33-degree Mason, Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite from 1859 to 1889, author of Morals in Dogma, which is reckoned to be the Freemasonic Bible. One of Freemasonry's greatest ever Masons freely admits, Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning, is it he who bears the light? And with its splendours intolerable blinds feeble, sensual or selfish souls? Doubt it not. There you go, straight from the horse's mouth. The light that shines in the Masonic lodges is from Lucifer. Manly P. Hall, another famous Mason, regarded worldwide in Freemasonry. He was an occult philosopher and author. He published over 150 volumes, of which the best known are The Secret Teachings of All Ages and The Lost Keys of Freemasonry. The Secret Destiny of America. So in one of these books, he actually writes, when the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his witchcraft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy. So there you go. From two of the top Masons of all time, two of the most highly regarded Masons of all time. So maybe that's why the US has been at war practically all throughout its history. The Bible talks about a fourth kingdom. Listen to this. Daniel 2:40. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaking in pieces and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. The fourth kingdom. Daniel 7. The fourth beast is a fourth kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. And isn't that what the United States has been doing throughout its history? Smashing the earth to pieces, especially the poorer nations, and removing their wealth, bringing them freedom and democracy. I suppose that was an early case of you will own nothing and you will be happy, because we've brought you freedom and democracy. You don't need your oil, you don't need your diamonds or your gold. Freedom and democracy has got to be paid for. But even if you look at the flag of the United States, or banner rather, that's supposed to be American, go online and take a look at the flags or banners that were used by the London East India Company and City of London Corporation. Red and white stripes. The American banner, red and white stripes. The only difference is the 5-pointed, again, more 5-pointed stars. A star for each state. 5-pointed stars, of all things. I wonder why. Take a look as well at what was called the Great Flag, which was reckoned to be the first American flag, which is a copy again of the City of London Corporation Company, East India Company. The only difference being it's got the Union Jack in the top left-hand corner instead of the English flag. So that was the first flag of America, and now you see the one they've got at the moment, and you tell me that that was made up by a free society, a free nation, a design for this new nation of America, when it's only a copy of flags from hundreds and hundreds of years before that belonged to City of London Corporation. So that there's nothing really unique. It was all laid out, all planned. And here we are today on the verge of what they've been striving for all of these striving to reduce the world population and put it under complete control. Where communism came from, who was it that set up world communism? First in Russia, then in China. Who was behind that? Who aided and abetted the communist troops and stood against the white armies that were winning battle after battle? The communists weren't getting anywhere. The communists were being defeated at every turn until agents arrived. First of all to General Wrangel in Russia. He was told, listen, if you want to survive and if you want your men to survive, stop fighting, lay down your arms. And General Wrangel was astounded. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, because the people, the Russian people, were against the communist armies and for the white armies. Communism would never have gained a foothold if it hadn't been getting fully backed by the international bankers and the UK and US governments. The white armies were not to win. They were told, lay down your arms, stop fighting, or die. And in General Wrangel's case, it was the same for General Chiang Kai-shek of China. Him and his white armies were defeating the communists at every turn. And he got a visit by these agents and told the same thing. And he was left flabbergasted. But in both cases, they didn't realise that what they were being told was true until the next shipments of arms that arrived from the West to them. For instance, the rifles had the bolts missing, so they were no good. Or if an aircraft was shipped into them, it would have an important part missing. And that's when these generals realised that, oh my goodness, these guys were telling the truth. We're not being backed anymore. We're going to run out of supplies very quickly, and they had to stop fighting. And wasn't it Trotsky himself who sailed out from New York on a ship filled with money and weapons to fight in the communist revolution of Russia. That ship was actually stopped by the British. I think it was near Canada. It was intercepted and held for so long, and then the British were told, let them go. But it's a ship full of arms and money, let them go. They were forced to let them go by some higher power. So yeah, the United States and no doubt City of London Corporation, the international bankers, they brought us world communism just the same way as they have brought us Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Nusra. There's an extremely brave lady who I believe she's in Syria at the moment, Vanessa Beeley. You can look her up on YouTube or on the internet, Vanessa Beeley. I think it's B-E-E-L-Y. She'll tell you straight to your face who's behind all these terrorist organisations, because she's right there on the ground. She sees it. She sees what's going on and tries her best to expose it. They just keep changing names. It's the same outfit, same organisation. They change names, but they're at work for the West in Syria, just like they were in Iraq. Like the American government and the Pentagon armed them, trained them. So you can see clearly how the United States has been working hard to bring together this new world order from chaos. And that's the Masonic motto, order from chaos. And they have been doing a brilliant job on the planet. So the war on terror is like the war on drugs. All it means is that they are in charge. They're in charge of the drugs to make sure it gets distributed worldwide. Just in the same way as that they'll make sure that the terrorist organisations are kept fed and moneyed and weaponised with all the latest technology. These people on their own couldn't make up an army or do anything. They would still be living in their own countries doing nothing. If the West hadn't taken them and whipped up their ideology and then trained them to fight and told them what to do and gave them our military leaders to lead them in many cases, and that has been discovered on a few occasions when top military leaders have been arrested, like in Iraq and no doubt in Syria and other countries. So when many Christians out there say, oh, but the United States isn't mentioned in prophecy. Really? Seriously? You've read the Bible, you've read all the prophecies, and you can't see the United States of America in prophecy. Wow. That's all I can say. Is she Babylon the Great? Or daughter of Babylon? I know that Babylon the Great, the end time Babylon the Great, will be a 10-nation strong outfit, no doubt led by the US and 10 lost tribes who are scattered worldwide throughout the earth. The 10 northern tribes who were first invaded and taken captive by the Assyrians, and from there slowly made their escape and headed out over the planet, fulfilling other ancient prophecies about taking control of the world's land and sea gates, and of forming one great nation and one company of nations. They were promised the best of everything and total control, and they're still scattered, the 10 northern tribes. And this end time Babylon the Great will be formed by 10 nations, which is kind of strange. If you look at a map of the United States and Canada, it's quite shocking, especially if you look at various relief maps where you can see it better. But the United States and Canada together are formed like a giant beast with massive feet crushing the earth. It's got like a bear's head and the snout of a dragon. You can see it quite clearly, especially the head and the feet and the shape overall. It's like a giant bear, but with a dragon's head, part bear, part dragon. And it's actually spitting out fire at Russia. You have to have a good look at this. Look at various maps and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's quite a sight to behold, and it makes you wonder if God had actually formed all the world's nations in the various shapes therein for a purpose, to tell a story. Because if ever a nation or group of nations looked like a giant beast crushing the earth, it's Canada and the United States. When you look at the shapes of other countries like Africa, the giant skull, that's quite shocking to look at that one. And then if you look at Norway, Sweden and Finland, doesn't leave much to the imagination. So anyway, I'm going to stop now.